Hello everyone, welcome to my YouTube channel. In the previous video, we have completed video player part of this project. If you are not seen that video, just go to description and check out the link. In this video, we are going to work on user part. So this particular one. So let's start with that. Let's get back to the VS Code. And over here, first we are going to generate a service. So right click on this folder and open integrated terminal. And then just write ng generate service user service and press enter. So it will generate a service that will be used on the user list or manage users page. So if you go over here, we have a user service right inside this one, and we have to go with the private API URL and environment dot API URL plus then slash users API, right? So we have to just pass that, and then we have constructor private and http and http client. This need to be import over here, and then we have to write get all users method. So get all users method, and in this one I'm expecting it should will get page because it's a paginated API size, and that will be of number type, and then it will be a search that will be optional, so question mark and string. And then we have to append those, we have to pass that values as a parameters. So params, and then the new http, this one we need to import, and then dot set, and then page comma page, what we get, and dot set size comma size, and if search, then params dot set. Here we have to write search, and okay, search, and then we have to pass search over here. And outside of this, we have to call the API, return this dot http dot get, and then we have to pass this dot API URL comma, and then we have to pass the params. So it should be inside the curly bracket. Let me format this. Let me decrease the size of this one so that you can see the multiple lines. Okay, create user, and then we are expecting user type any, and return this dot http post, not patch, post, and this dot API URL comma user. And then we have to get user by ID also we need. So get user by ID so that we can edit. So ID number, and then user any, and return this dot http dot put, no sorry, it should be a get, right? Get, okay, it should not pass this one, remove this one. So here we have to just get by ID. So this dot get, and inside this one dot API URL plus single quotes slash, then after that plus ID concat. Okay, and then we have update user, and in this one ID number type, not number type, and then we have a user any type, and in this one return this dot http dot put, and this dot API URL plus single quote slash, then plus ID comma user. After update, the next will be really to delete the user. So delete user and ID of type any. No, it should be a number type, so just write number. Return this dot http dot delete this dot API URL, then slash plus ID, and then we have toggle user status. User status ID number, return this dot http dot put this dot API URL plus slash plus ID, then plus, and then we have to pass that the path which is toggle status, and we don't have to pass any body, so just put a curly bracket over here, and then we have change user role, and it should be ID number, then role string type, and in this one return this dot http dot put, not patch, it should be put, and this dot API URL slash, and then plus uh, change dash role comma, and then we have to pass the role over here and just format this one. I don't think we should have any error as of now. We don't have any error. Let me, okay, this ID is not used. Okay, this is my bad. Over here, we have to add one more plus, and then we have to pass this ID. So just write like this. Okay, so just correct this one. Here we have to pass the ID between these two and save this. Just minor fixes. If you're not gonna fix or change it, still it will work fine. So like a get user, so get u should be capital, and here update user you should capital, so it will not cause any issues, but it's good to have in this way. Now our code changes related to the user services is completed. Now let's generate the component. So we have to go to the admin folder. Inside this one, right click, open integrated terminal, and over here we have to write ng generate component and user dash list. So it will generate a user list component. Inside that you can see a component is created inside the admin folder. Now I'm going to inside the dialog folder. No, this one, dialog. You just need to type and then press, and now I'm inside this dialog folder. Now here I want to generate ng generate component and manage dash user and press enter over here. So it will generate one more component inside this particular dialog. Inside dialog you can see previously it was manage video, now it has been one more manage user is added. So now we have to also connect this with the routing of this. So you have to go to the admin routing module.ts file. In this one basically you have to add like the path whenever someone's click on user page, right? So you have to route to that particular user to the that particular page. So here users comma and component we have to pass as a user list. So this one we need to import, format this, and then save this. And if I go to the UI, if I click on users, you are able to see that user list works, right? So it means that we are able to integrate users as well as video in this both. And here I've noticed that this on this video list page, this refresh button is not as expected. So let's fix that first. So go to the video list over here in the video list.html and go nearby that particular button. So here refresh, this one you just need to fix. So in the video list line number 13 we have refresh, and just save this. Let's see it's fixed or not. Now you can see, right, whenever we hover, this one get changed, and also we can see that one. If I click on it, it refreshed. That functionality was working, but the CSS and design was not as expected. Now it fixed. Now get back to the user component. Now we have to go back to the user list in the TS file, and here we have to write the logic related to the user. So let's go back over here, and in this one page, and videos users paged or paginated users, we can write paginated users, could be of any type, and loading is true, and then loading more is true, mode false, and error false, and current user email address is of type string, or it could be null, and by default it will be null. Search query and of a string type, and then we have page size, and then we have current page is equals to 0, total page equals to 0, and total users is equals to 0, and hash has more users equals to true. So after that we have to write related to constructor. So constructor, and then private user service, and then private auth service, we need to import auth service, and private dialog service, and dialog service we need to import. And inside the dialog services, I think we also need to add one more method inside it. So let's add that first. So let's go to the dialog service inside this one, and we are inside the dialog service, which are inside the shared folder and inside service folder. Let us scroll a bit over here, and then we have to write open manage user dialog, and here mode will be two types, which will be create, or it could be edit type. And then we are also passing the user, but it should be an optional, because only on edit case we are going to pass the informations, or else it will be uh, blank. And then we have to import this manage user, and then close this and over here, and then return this dot dialog dot open and manage user comma curly brackets 3 dots and dialog config we have to pass, and inside then we have a manage user, and then we have to pass the data and mode, and then we have to pass the user. Okay, so let me format this, and here you can see this one. So we are just open this manage user, and whatever the configuration we have, this is related to manage user, we are passing it, and data mode by default it will be passed, and user, like whenever if it is available then we are going to pass it, otherwise it will be undefined. Okay, so in that way it will work. Now get back to the user list over here again, and inside this one we have to now import few other things like notification services, and so notification, and here notification service, and then private error handler service this one. And then we also need to implement ng on it, so implements on in it over here, on in it, and over here we need to import ng on in it. And in this one const dot current user I want to fetch, so current user, and we in the auth services we have that get current user method, so we are going to call that, and from there we are going to get the email address like current email and current user question mark dot email, or if not then we are going to just pass the rule. And then we have to write the logics to load the user, so I'm just going to create a method over here, so load, users, and this particular method I want to call it over here inside ng on it. So whenever the page load, right, so this method will be called. So after that we have to write a logic related to, like, whenever someone scroll, right, so that time it should call the API. So if I go to the video list, and inside video list.ts file we have that logic, so I will just going to copy paste that logic. So this part I'm talking about, so just copy paste this one and go back to the over here and paste it over here. It will throw error because we did not import over here. So first this one, then we have to import it from the Angular core, and has more over here. So here we have to change has more users, and then we have to create this particular method because for now it does not exist. So it should be, the naming should be a little different. It should be load more users, and then we have to just call this load more users and save this. Now whenever we scroll to the bottom of the page, and in that case the API will be called, which is load more users. Okay, now we have to write the logic related to this. So load users, so this dot loading is equals to true, and this dot error false, and this dot current page we have to set as 0, and this dot paginated users we are just setting to reset to blank, and then we have to const and search the values we want to fetch it from the search query dot trim, or we are going to pass the undefined, and then we have to call the API. So this dot current not current, it should be user service dot get all users, and this dot current page comma this dot page size, and then we have to pass the search, and then we have to subscribe that, and then next, and response of any type, and inside this one this dot paginated users, and this one response dot content, and this dot total users will be response dot total elements, response dot total elements, and this dot total pages, response dot total pages, and this dot current page is equals to response dot number, and this dot hash mode. Look, I want to check, okay, we can scroll to or not. So for that, this one, this dot total pages -1. So this is the logic we have, and here we forget to add equal symbol over here, and this dot loading is set to false because we got the response. And after this, next we have to put a comma over here, and then error. If any error occur, we have to show that error. So inside this, this dot error is equals to true, or this dot loading is false, and this dot error handler service, inside that we have to pass that error with the message failed to load users, and put semicolon over here also if you want. So we have write the logic how we are going to call the API whenever users loads. So if I save this, and if I go to the UI and open the network tab, not source, sorry, inspect mode and network, and if I network and refresh it over here, it should call current okay users over here. You can see response, right? We are able to fetch the users response over here. So total element we have 9, and total pages is 1, and numbers of size, and also you can see, right, and here you can see the users details. So it's working as expected. We are able to call the backend API. Now we have to write the logic related to load the user. So let's write that. And if this dot more loading more this one, or not this dot hash more user, then just return from here. And this dot uh, loading more is set to true, and this and then we have const next page, right? And this dot current page plus 1, we have to add that, and const at search, and this dot search query dot trim, or we are going to just pass the undefined over here. And then we have to call the API. So this dot user services dot get all users next page, comma this dot page size, comma search value dot subscribe, and then we have next, and over here response of any type, and over here curly bracket, and here this dot paginated users equals, and then dot this dot paginated users, comma this dot and response dot content. So whenever we get that, so whatever the value already there is in paginated user, and whatever the response we get add, so we'll just append on it. Okay, so this dot current page is equals to response dot number, and then this dot hash more users, and this dot current page is less than this dot total pages minus 1, and this dot loading more is false. And then we have this error, and and this dot loading more equals to false, and this dot error handler service dot handle, and we have to show the error, so error and fail to load more users. And so load more logic is also done. Now on search we have to call the method, so just write the logic it. So on search change, this particular method will be called event. Then event, we don't have to import anything for this event, and it will not going to return anything. So const input equals to event dot target as HTML input element, and this dot search query is equals to input whatever the input dot value we have, right? So we're going to just pass, and this dot not this one, this dot current page is equals to 0, because it will search, so we have to show it from start. So load users, and we have to call the first method, and whenever we have to clear it, so clear search, and this dot search query is equals to, and this dot current page is equals to 0, and this dot load users, we have to call this method, and clear logic is also completed. Now we have to write the logic basically is to open the dialog related to create user. So let's write that. So here we have to write like create user, and inside this one const dialog ref, and this dot dialog service, and then we have a open manage user dialog which we have created. So in this one we have to pass just create, and inside this one whenever like any new users is created, right? So that time after that we have to call a load user. So for that, after closed, uh, then subscribe, and then response, and if response are there, in that case this dot load users, this method we have to call. And then we have edit user. So user will get inside this one, and the inside we can just copy paste this one code inside this particular method over here, just format this, and we have to change it over here. So first here we have to change this to edit, and here we have to pass the user whom I want to edit, and other line will be remain same. So there's informations, other things like this reference and call, all those things will be the same. And then we have a next method which is current user method. So user of type any, and it will return a boolean which is either true or false. So return user dot email, and this dot current email. So if match, it will return true, else false. So it is basically you to show the batch we are showing it, right? It's your account and you. So that's why we are using this. There we are going to use this method. Okay. And then we have a toggle user status. So like whenever we click on this particular button, right, we should change the user active, deactive. So any and void. And inside this one, this dot user service dot toggle user, and here we have tried user dot id dot subscribe, and inside this one next and response of any, and curly bracket, and this dot notification dot success, and whatever the response message will get, right, we are going to show it to the user, and this dot load users, and then we have error, and this dot error handler dot handle error, and then we have to pass failed to update user status, and just save this. And after that we have to write the logic related to delete user. So let's write it over here. So delete user, and here user of any type, and we also need to show the confirmation, right? So this dot dialog services we have, right, and there's an open confirmation is there. So we have to use this one, and first like delete user, then question mark, comma, and in this one over here, the if you see, right, the symbol is little bit different instead of single quotes, see, right? So you have to use this one. Are you sure you want to delete user, and then double quotes, and then dollar curly bracket, and the user dot full name, and after double quotes question mark, and this action cannot be undone. Okay, and then comma, and then we have single, then delete, then cancel, comma, danger, I want to use danger one, and after that this parenthesis we have to write subscribe, and the response, and if we have a response, right, in that case we have to do something like we have to call the API. If not, we don't have to call the API. So here we have to write this dot user services, then dot delete user dot id, and dot subscribe, and inside this one write next, and then response of type any, and this dot notification dot success, and response question mark dot message, and this dot load users we have to call this one, and comma error, any error occur in that case, and here this dot notification services dot handle notification, not notification, error handler, we have to handle error handler dot handle, and then we have to pass the error, and over here field to delete user. This is message we are going to show to the user whenever it fails to load that, and save this, and delete user part is also completed related to TS file. After delete user, the next method will be is to change user role. So if role is user, then we can change to admin, and if it is admin, then change to the user. So vice versa, we can do it, right? So for that, we have to write this logic. So user of type any, and we have to get the role. So new role, and then user dot role is equals to uh, admin, three times, okay, not 4 times, and question mark, then user, or then admin, and then we have to pass this dot dialog services dot open confirmation, and then we have change user role question mark, and then we have to pass, are you sure you want to change, then over here just put a dollar, and then over here user dot name full name, here we have to pass, and then rule to handle, rules to change to the, okay, here we have to add dollar, then curly bracket, and new rule we have to pass. So it will ask for this message and then question mark before completing the line, and then we have change role. Okay, let me remove this one. Okay, here you can see, first let me format this one. Are you sure you want to change whatever the role is there, sorry, name is there, role to this particular role, whatever the role, we will get it over here, and then we have to cancel, and then we have warning. Okay, so in this one, I have noticed one small issue. If I go to the this particular method, right, so this is, it should be info, it should be not be something else, warning, danger, and info. This is the correct one. Okay, so get back over here again, so just change over there, and after that warning, we have to subscribe to this. Okay, so if we get the response, then we have to call the API, so response, and if response exists, in that case this dot user services dot change user role, and here we have to pass user dot id comma new role, and dot subscribe, and over here next, next, and response of type any, and this dot notification dot success, then response question mark dot message, and this dot load users, and after this next, we have to change, add the error logic, so error, and over here we have to write like this dot error handler, not this one, error handler service dot handle error, and then we have to pass the field to change user role, and this is the error we want to show to the user. Put semicolon over here, here also we can add it. Still, if you're not gonna add this semicolons, right, it will not gonna throw an error, so but it's good to have. And after this, this method is closed, right? Change user rule. The next method will be to get rule batch class. And as per rule, right, a different basically we are showing to the user. So rule is string, and it also return a string type. And rule, sorry, not rule, return rule. And here we have to pass, like, if it is admin, then we have to pass a different one. So rule admin, and otherwise it will be user. Rule user. And get status batch also we need to design. So get a status batch class, and it should be active. So boolean, and then we are going to return the string only. Then return active question mark, and then it should be status dash status batch active, or we have to pass status inactive, and then we have to format the date. So format date, and date string type, it will be string, and it will also going to return the string. And return new date, and it should be date string we have to pass, and then we have to pass do local date string, and then we have to pass like en dash us and comma, then we have to pass year, and it should be numeric, and month, it should be short, and then day, it should be numeric, like this. Let me show you the complete line. Let me format this. So our TS part of related to this user list is completed. Now it's time to copy paste the CSS part. So let's copy that, and let's go to the user list, paste it over here, and save this. Now we have to go to the HTML part of this one. So now we are going to write the logic in this particular one. So let's remove this code, and let's write the code related to this. So div class and user management container, and then div class header section, and the next one will be title. So div class title wrapper, and then h1 in this one class it will be page title, and over here we are going to write user management, and then we have text we want to show, like it's manage all users. So for it should be page subtitle, and over here manage all users and their permission. And after that this div title wrapper will be closed, and outside of this one here we have to create a div class and header action button. So header dash actions, and the closes, and then button mat raised button, and color ancient, and then on click of the button we have to call the method like create user. This method we have created it, so we have to call this one, and then we have to pass the class or CSS apply we have to. So create btn, and then close this, and after that mat icon and person underscore add, and after that we have to write add new user, and outside of this particular button we have to create one more button basically used to refresh the page. So mat icon button, and on click of it we have to call this load users method, and we have to disable whenever the page is loading. So I'm just making it as a loading, and class refresh btn, and mat tool tip will be refresh. Tooltip is basically whenever you hover on that particular button, right? So that time you want to show something text. So for that purpose, tooltip is added, and my icon refresh over here. So this div header section is created. So we have to write the code outside of this. So this is getting closed over here. So after that, we have to create a one more div, which is to search or header section of it. After that header, this search option should be there. So search section, and in this one, div class search wrapper, and then we have mat icon class, and then search icon search, and after that we have to inside this one we have to put an input field. So input, and type text, then class will be of search input, search dash input. After that placeholder we want to show, so placeholder, so search by name or email, then dot dot dot, and then we have to also two-way binding we have to do, so that we can whatever the changes over there in this particular field should be also update to the TS file. So ng dot model, and then we have to just write here search query, and whenever the inputs entered by user, so in this case you have to just call this one, and on search change, and dollar event, and then we have to close this. And after that we have to add a button basically to, like, it will be only visible whenever the input field having some values, and then only it's going to be shown to the user. So after inside this particular div, right, we have to add that particular button after just after this input field. So button ng if, and then we have search query, this one, and mat icon button, and then class clear btn, and then on click here we have to call the clear search, and this method will be called, and inside this one mat icon, over here we have to write close, and then we have to close this one. So this particular button will be there visible only whenever we have search value, otherwise it will not going to be shown to the user. And after outside of this particular search wrapper div, we have to show like total values and all those. So outside of this one, here we have to create div class and search dash info, and in this one we are going to create a span and a star ng if condition satisfied, like not loading, then we are going to showing that paginated users dot length and off Then we have a one more variable, right? Total users, and here we have to pass users. Save this. I don't see any error as of now. And so this search section is also completed. So outside of this one search section, right, we have to add a progress bar. So out just after this, mat progress bar and star ng if whenever it's loading, right? So in that case, we have to just show this one and mode init and class loading dash bar and closes. After that, the next will be to whenever error occurs, that time you want to show the container, oops, something went wrong or failed to load the user. So those type of matches we want to show the user, as well as we want to show user that a refresh button is there. So those we are going to design it now. So div star ng if, and if error occur and not loading, and class error dash container, and then mat icon class error dash icon, and just close this one, and error underscore outline, and after that here h2 oops, something went wrong, and then we want to add here like p, and here failed to load users, and please try again. So this type of message I want to show it whenever users any error occur or something like that. And then we want to show a button, so mat raised button, and color will be primary, and on click we will call the API again, so like load users, and this method will be called, and mat icon, and then refresh icon, and then we want to pass the retry text, so it will be a retry text will be visible with the refresh icon, and this button users can click on it. So this is about the div section, this one error one. Now we have to go outside of this particular div, and now we have to actually write the logic related to showing the cards and all those informations of the user. So div star ng if, and over here not loading, and not there's no error, and paginated users dot length is greater than 0, and then class users grid, and whenever there's a page is not loading as well as no errors or pagination size, like whenever the values is more than 0, then only this div will be visible to the user. Then we have to create div, then ng for loop basically, and let user of paginated users, and then class user card, and then we have to pass the class dot current dash user. So basically is to validate that okay, this user is actually the same user, right, which is a user like whatever the account I'm logged in, right? So for that validations, I think we have one method like is current, something like that, is current user. So with logging an account is same as this one, so for that basically this one, and here we have to pass the user. So yeah, inside this one here next div class and user card header, and div class user avatar, this one, and it should be a mat icon, and it should be just a person. And outside of this particular user, this one over here, we have to create one more div. So div class and user info, and h3 class user, and this time we also need to write a name, username, and then user dot full name, and then span star ng if, and this method basically we are going to call it, and again we are going to pass the user. If it returns true, then class dot u batch we are going to show to the user, and it should be u. And after h3, outside of this h3, here we have to write p class and user dash email, and close this, and here we have to show the user email, so user dot email, and after that user card header part is completed. So this is user card header part. So if you see, right, this is closing over here. So after that you have to write the logic, which is to related to the body of the one. So outside of this we have to write the div. So div class and user card body, close this, or not over here, close this, and inside this one div class user meta, and then the span class, and over here meta item, and then meta span and class, and then meta label, and here we have to write rule, and inside this one span, then we have class, the square bracket class, then here we have to get the batch, so that should be, there is a method, right, get rule batch class. So this one method we have to call, and we have to pass the from here, and we have to pass user dot role, so it should return over here, and then it will show. And then inside this one mat icon, and then we have class batch icon, and then we have to show over here as per user dot role over here, then here admin, right, if it is admin question mark, then here admin underscore panel underscore settings, else it will be just a person symbol or icon. After that over here user dot rule, just save this, let me format this one, and outside of this particular one user meta one, user not user meta item over here, no, okay, this is a span, right, meta item should be a div basically, it should not span, so it just make changes is over here only, so div, over here also div, and outside of just this meta item we have to go over here and press enter, then we are going to create a div class meta item, and after that span class and meta label, and then close this status, and after that span class Then this is the next method which we have over here. So get a status batch class, this one. And so this one here we have to call this, and here we have to pass user dot active. Then as per that it will return us, and then we have to mat icon, and then class badge icon, and then we have to show user dot active question mark. Then it's ternary operator we are using it, right? Check underscore circle, and then we are cancel, and then we have to close this one curly brackets, and after that here we have to also show the user dot active whatever the status is. So here is like this: active or inactive. Active. And then this div is also completed, which is meta item. So user meta is this part is completed. So outside of this we have to write the logic which is related to the user details, and after that user body will be also completed. So let's see what UI looks like now. Let's refresh this, and it's showing only role, and it should also show the status of this one. Let's get back. Okay, so if you see, right, this particular file we did not save this, so that's why the refresh changes was not showing over here. So you have to just save this particular file whenever you go over here, so that it automatically deduct the changes and refresh this page. So there's no issues at all. And here you can see the role which is user, it look like normal user, and status whenever it is active it shows as this, like this. If a user is admin, it look like this patch, and you can see the icon is also different. And if I scroll a little bit down, I'm also able to see that okay, I'm logged in with as this user with this credential, so that's why it's showing as a U. So it means that the part till this point everything is as expected. Now get back to the VS code. Over here this particular user, not this one, it should be, yeah, sorry, inside this one user meta, after that the div close, right? Over here we have to create a div. So div class and user dash details, and div class detail dash item, and then close this, and mat icon and class detail dash icon, and then batch, and after that over here I want to show the ID. So ID user dot ID, and outside of this detail item, so detail item, the next div we have to create. So div class detail item, and inside this one mat dash icon and class detail dash icon, and in this one calendar underscore today, and then we have to write the when account is created. So span joined, and then we have this format date, and in this we have to pass user dot created at. So after that this will show the user details. So this is then we have closing this method, so user card body. So after this particular one we have to create a new method. So you see, right, there's a dark line is there whenever we click on it. So let's say I click on this, okay, not over here. So over here if I click on it, so where it's going to be closed, we can see it clearly, like this line get darker or change the colors, right? So here we have to create a div and class which will use for user card actions, and in this one button, mat button, and then we have click and edit user, and in this we have to pass the user, and then we have class action button over here, and then we have a mat icon which is to edit, and after that we also need to pass the text, so edit text, and then we have the change rule method, not method, button, sorry, we have to call, so mat button, and on click we have to call them method, which is, I think we have a change rule method, so change rule or change user rule, I think change user rule, so this method we have to call, so get over here, paste it over here, and in this one we have to pass the user, then class action button, and in this one mat icon and swap hotties, and after that we have to just write here change rule, and so after these two buttons, the next button which will be used to toggle the user status, and which is from activate to deactivate and all, so button and mat button on click, and on click we are going to call the method which is, I think, toggle control F, toggle user status, so this is the method we are going to call it, so let's paste it over here, and then we have to pass the user, and then we also want to disable the user, this particular button, if user is same, so let's say he cannot deactivate his own account, right, so you have to just pass here his current user, right, and in this one user, and after that class action button over here, then class dot disabled, and over here this dot current user, and then user we have to pass, and then we have to show mat icon, okay, just close it over here, this one, and the button should be not closed there, it should be outside of this, so over after this one let's close this particular button, get back to the mat icon, and in this one here we have to write user dot active, then question mark, and then block symbol, or then check underscore circle, and outside of this mat icon, here we have to write like user dot active, and then we have deactivate, wait, and else activate, so as per user active status it will be changed, so we have to write the logic like that, so just format this, and after this particular button, the next button which will be used to delete the user, so button and mat button, and then we have to call it on click, we have to call a method, so that method will be delete user method, this one, so just call this one, and then we have user class action button, and over here delete dash action class disabled, and then is current user it should be user one, and disabled. Basically it's similar to that, first we are disabling with the CSS, then we are disabling with this, so user, and then we have to show the icon. So after this, inside the button close mat icon, delete, and then we want to show the text, so here delete, save this. Let me format this one. Okay, we are getting some kind of error over here, user.active and something like that. We are getting this error. Let's scroll over here. Okay, so here you can see, right, we have this one that should be removed, and if I scroll down, it's get fixed. So user.active, then this one, which is a ternary operator, as we already know that. So that's why we are getting this error. And now we have to close the div which is related to user grid. So if I scroll above, or user grid, or this particular div, this one, outside of this div which we are user grid, right, this div, we have to close it. We don't have to write any other logic inside this one, so just go outside. So this is the second last div, so just outside of this one. Over here now we're going to write the logic related to whenever users reach to the maximum like item or users, then we have to show that, okay, you have reached to the end, no more users to load. So that portion we have to, for that we have to write the code. So load dash more container, and in this one div class loading more, and star ng if loading more, and then close this. First we also want to show the spinner and all those things, so that, and we'll have both the logic in this one. Then mat spinner diameter 40, and then we have to close this one. Then we have to add a text, so p paragraph loading or more users, and then div will be closed. Outside of this load more users, then we have to write the other part, which is div class, and then id of content, so star ng if not loading more and not hash more users, and paginated users dot length is greater than 0, and then mat icon, and then check circle, and then we have to put a paragraph. You have reached the end, no more users to load. So this is the div is also completed. Now next div, which is like to show the user whatever the values or wrapper, those things, right, like there's no search results are there, so those things you want to show it, right? So if I go, the same logic should also exist in our I think video list. So let me check it if it is logic is already there. So I'm just going to copy paste over there. Okay, this logic we have already did it, and then we have empty state. No, we don't need this. Somewhere I remember I am right, I have written this logic, so like no result, something like that, no result. Yeah, okay, this is the logic, sorry, my bad. So we can copy paste this one, but I think the CSS are not aligned with this one. So let's get back to the users list. We don't have to copy paste. Now let's type here. So div star ng if and not loading and not error, and then total users uh, is equals to 0, and search query exist, then class empty state, then closes div and div class empty icon wrapper and mat icon class empty and dash icon, close this and search and not this one, search underscore off, and this first div is closed, and outside of this one h2 uh, no result found, and after that here paragraph no users match, and then in double quotes if you want to show the this one, so search query this one, and then after the paragraph we want to show a button so that user can clear the filter raised button and color primary, and over here on click clear search, and then we have mat icon and clear, and over here we have to write clear search and save this. Now it's time to go to the UI, and here you can see it's already loaded over here, and you can see I'm getting the options here. I'm getting options to refresh this, I'm getting options to add new, but it's not we did not write the code related to this, but you can see the dialog has opened now. After that you can see the ID, you can see the join date, and you can see the edit option. If I click it, you can see the manage user works. Then if you want to change a role, I clicked on, you can see the configuration is open. Are you sure you want to QRT temp role to admin? Click on change role and it's updated. Now it's showing as an admin, right? This is the expected one. And I want to deactivate this account. So I just click on deactivate, and you can see user status updated successfully and it's inactive now. And if you want to delete this account, so let me click on delete, and you can see the account has been deleted. And let's do one thing. Let me show you the scrolling or infinite scrolling. To validate that, let's reduce the size of this page to 3. Let's save this. Let me open the inspect mode, and over here go to the network tab, and 1 is already loaded. I scroll to the bottom, you can see the one API call is there. It loaded 6 record, then the last record, and then you are getting this message, you have reached to the end, no more users to be loaded. So it means that the infinite scrolling is also working as expected. Now we have to go to the VS Code, and we have to write the logic related to the manage user. So go back to this one, go back to the manage user TS file. Now here we have to write user form, and then we have to create form group, and creating false. Okay, so it's form group. We have to import user group over here. Okay, so here just put this symbol over here. It is not initialized, so that's why it's throwing error. Put it over here, error is gone. And after that, here we have to create more variables, which is a hide password, which is by default it's going to set to true, and then is edit mode, then boolean by default it will be okay, here we have to set like this, and by default it will be false. And then constructor, then we have to import like private form builder. So FB we can also write, usually we are writing in that way, so form builder, and then private user service, and here user service, and private notification, and notification service we need to import. And then okay, let me put curly bracket over here, so error should gone. And after that, private error handler service, and error handler service, this one. And then public dialog reference, and mat dialog reference, and manage user, this one. And then we have inject, and mat, no, it should be parenthesis, and mat underscore dialog data, this one we need to import. And then we have public data, and any type. And inside this curly bracket we have to check, okay, this rule or this particular one is edit mode or not. So this dot edit mode data dot mode is equals to edit. So if it is true, if this condition is true, in that case it will return true, else it will be false. And this dot user form, and in this one this dot form builder or FB dot group. And in this one here we have to pass like this, and here we have to write full name. And then here, like whenever we get the data from there, right, so we are going to check, okay, user is there and dot, and full name exists, so we are going to just pass it over here, or if not, then we are going to put it blank. And then we are going to also validate, so validators dot required. And then we have email, and data dot user dot email. And this one we have to, in the same way, we have to just pass like this, then comma. And then we have validators dot required, comma, validators dot email. And then the next, which is password, and it should be like this by default, comma, this dot basically is edit mode. Basically on the basis of, if this is a edit mode, then I don't want to show the user validations. If it is a non-edit mode, I want to validate, okay, there should be a password, right? So that's why we are doing like this. So this, then question, if it is true, then we are not going to validate this, otherwise we want to validate this. So validators dot required, and validators dot min length, and it should be of type 6. And then we have rule data dot user dot role. And okay, let me, oh yeah, user, by default it will be always user, and validators dot required over here, and save this. Okay, so role is date, this one, and if not, then by default it will set as user. And this is inside the constructor, this part is completed. Now we have to write the logic to on cancel or close, right? We have to call this method. So on cancel, this dot dialog reference dot close, and on save, this dot creating or this dot loading, you can also say that, but both are same because this is basically used for the loading one, which is at other pages we are doing it, right? So same way it will behave like loading one. Okay, this dot user form dot value, we fetch, then we are going to create a data field, and in this one email will be there, format data dot email and dot trim dot to lower case, sorry, lower case, and password for data dot password, and then we have a full name and a form data dot full name, then role dot role, and after that we have to const dot op dollar, and then this dot is edit mode. Okay, then question mark, this dot user service, this one we have to call, and then update user we have to call this one, and in this one first we have to pass the id, so this dot data dot user dot id, and then we have to pass the data what we have, which we have created over here. And this, okay, let me explain you this one. So this data which is injected from user list, which is sent to the manage user, that we are getting it, and from there we have user object, from there we have id, and this data is basically this one, the payload which we have just created it. So both are different. Okay, and then we have sorry, over here after this one, this dot user service dot create user, and then we have to pass the data, put semicolon, and then op this dot subscribe over here, and as per response we have to show to the user, so this one curly brackets next, and next response of any type, and over here in this one, this dot creating is set to false, and this dot notification service dot success, and here response question mark dot message, and after the this one we also want to close the dialog reference, so reference dot close, and it's set to true, and over here error and error, this dot creating, this one false, and this dot error handling dot handle error dot failed to save user. So this is the error I want to show to the user. Let's just format this one. So just TS part of this particular one is also completed. Now we have to go to the CSS and copy paste. So go to the CSS files and paste it over here. Then we have to go to the HTML part of this file. So now here we have to remove this, and then we have to write div class and dialog container, and then close this, and then div class and dialog header, close this one also, and then we have h1 is edit mode and question mark, and then we have to show that okay, edit user text whenever this is true, or you have to show that create new user, and then we have to close this. And after this div, the next which will be for dialog content. So inside this particular container we have to write the logic. Okay, so here we are going to write a div class and dialog content, Close this. After that, we have to create form, group, and then we have to write here user, form, and after that class, create form, then close this. Then we have to create a div class, form, section, and then close this, and then h2 class, section, title, and close this one. And then we have mat icon, close this one, person, and after that here we have to show that okay, this is a edit mode, then different information. So it edit mode, then edit information or user information. And after h2 outside of this one, we have to create a div which is class and form grid, and in this one we are going to create the input fields and all those things. So mat input field appearance outline, then class full width, then close this one, and then mat label, close this one, and full name, and after label input mat input form control name, and here full name placeholder, and enter full name. And then we also want to show the icon, so mat icon, and here mat prefix, and then close this one, and this will be badge icon. And after that we also want to show there, so mat error star ng if user form dot get, not this one, get full name, and question mark dot hash error if it is required, then close this one, and full name is required. This is the error message we are going to show to the user. So our mat, this one is also completed. Now next line, this will be ng container, because this is we have to hide and show, right? So star ng if not is edit mode, and close this one. Inside this container we have to copy paste this particular input field over here, we have, right, paste it over here, and just format this one, save this, and then we are going to do some changes over here. Okay, it's throwing some error. Okay, mat input fields are not okay, known element. Okay, fine. Okay, go to the app module one. Okay, manage video, manage user, everything is here, right? Go back over here. We'll validate this error. Okay, so that's a small mistake here. Basically, instead of mat form field, I have just written here mat input field, right? So you have to revert that. So form field. So here also form field form, and here also form. Just fix, save this, and you will see the error is gone now. Now we have to fix this one. So inside this one, the mat appearance outline, then we have to change this text to email. So change here email, and after that input mat input form control name, and it should be email type, and also here we have to write type is should be email, and placeholder we have to change this to email, and also this one email here we have to change, and here also email, and required, and this one also need to be changed to email is required field is required. Then copy this line of the code, paste it over here, format this again, and here we have to change this one to email, and here we have to just change the message that okay, please enter a valid email, and remove this required text from here and save this. And then this particular condition or email field is also ready. If I go over UI and if I click on it, you can see here these two fields we have, right? It visible as expected, and you can see the error message is also working as expected. Now get back to the VS Code, and the next field which is used for show the like to show the container, or which is for the input field for the password. So mat form, in directly also we can do that. So let me add this container over here also, and just close this, sorry, my bad, format this one, and then inside this one we can write mat form field and appearance outline class full width star, and then close this, and then mat label, and it should be password, and then input mat input, and then type over here, and then equals, then hide password, so hide password field we have, and then question mark, inside the double quotes we have to write this, okay, and then single, then password single quotes closed, and then this, and colon, after that text single quotes, and then form. Let me decrease the size of this one or close hide this one for now, and then we have form control name, and here password, and then we have placeholder enter password, and then close this, and then we have a mat dash icon, close this one, and then we have also inside this one we have to write mat prefix, and then lock icon I want to show to the user. Then we have to write the logic related to show and hide button. So over here we have to write button, and then mat icon button, over here mat suffix type button, and on click we have to hide and show, so click and hide password equals and not hide password, and then table index -1, and mat icon over here hide password, and then we have to show the different icon which is visibility underscore off, or only visibility icon, so remove just off from here. And after this particular button we also need to show the error, so I'm just going to copy paste from the above just to these two, okay, copy over here from here, after this button paste it over here. Let me format this, and here we have to change this one is to password field password, and required will be remain same, and here we have to change this one as password is required, and here we have to change this Here we have to write password, and here we have to write uh, min length. And in this one we have to change the error message also. It's like password must be at least 6 character. And close this. So outside of this ng container we have this. Let's see it works fine or not. So here you can see if I write test, I can see here once it goes I can see hide and show. I can able to see this. So it's working as expected. And let's close this one, click on again, and I'm able to see, right? If I click on edit of any one of them, so you can see full name is visible, but the password as well as email field is not visible. So it means it working as expected. Get back over here. And also if you see, right, here the password and confirm password can be also be there, but I have not added it because I've already shown you multiple times that how you can add uh, password and confirm password, so you can implement that. And for now you can also go with the direct password. If you don't want to use confirm password, then it will work fine. Okay, so after that, this container, the next which is used to be outside of this ng container, the next one will be to show the rule. So mat form field. Okay, the first two line will be remain same, so I'm just going to copy paste over here, remove this, paste it over here. Let me format this, and let's close this one. And over here we have to change this to role. And inside this one we have to make basically drop down, right? So or mat select, so mat select here, and form control name, and here we have to pass role. Close this. Mat option value user, and over here user, and same way mat option. It's better to put these options in the ts file, and you can use the loop to show render all the values, but like we have only two, right? So that's why I've used in this way, but you can also go with that approach. And admin, so mat select part is also completed. And here outside of this one, mat icon, mat prefix, and close this. And here we have to write admin underscore panel settings, this one. And I don't have to add the validations because by default user will be selected, so we don't have to worry about the form, that it will be always gonna have some data. So after this form, right, we have one more div, so that div will be closed dialog content. So after that we have to write the logic which is related to the button we have to provide to the user. So div a class dialog footer, and then close this one, button and mat button, and then on click we have to call a method which is on cancel method, and then class footer cancel, and close this one and cancel over here. And after this cancel button, the next field will be mat button mat raised button color primary, and then on click on save disabled, and user form dot valid we are going to check. If not valid, we are going to disable the button, or creating, so whenever it's loading the page, right? So footer dash save, and then we have to show the different mat icons. So mat dash icon, close this one, and over here creating, and then question mark, and our class underscore empty, and then is edit mode, then we have to show as save, or else person underscore add, this one. So mat icon is also ready. Now we have to write the logic related to show the particular text, like it should be saving or creating, or like save changes. So this type of text we have to show, right? So creating, right? In that case, it means that someone's click on the save button to save the. So is edit mode, then we are writing like saving, or else if it is not edit mode, so creating the account, and this closes parenthesis, and after that, or is edit mode, then save changes, or create user. Save this. Now let's go to the UI and validate all these changes. So you can see, right, when I refresh this page, after that click on add new, I can see all the fields over here, and here let me test it. So for that I need a dummy email address, so I'm just going to type anything, ASDFG test, and I'm going to get a dummy email address over here which is related to Mailinator, and here I'm going to enter the password. We can see that, and here I'm just setting as a user and click on create user. So it basically gonna trigger a mail now, and we can see that mail over here, and here you can see our mail, right? And if I go over here, you can see that particular information, so this test, and over here you can see the milliliter, you can see the user, when it has been created, you can see the edit option, change role, and everything you can see here. Click on edit, I'm able to see the same information. If I change to admin, click on save change. After that you can see the batch is also changed. If I click on edit, you can see the admin is visible now. So it means that manage user is also working as expected. So this is all about manage user as well as view list of users. I hope you guys like this video, so please hit like and subscribe my channel. Thank you.